3, 2, 1. What is happening, guys? In this video we are going to build this responsive website, and this is a really beginner friendly tutorial. So you will go from a completely responsive website. We're actually going to build 3 web pages. This is going to be the home. Check out with this animation. Breakfast is served. Then another section with services, which will also have its own animations. The images will slide in, the text will slide in, and also this text will slide in. Then the contact page, which will have this image in the background appearing really slowly. Then the title here sliding in, the contact form, the submission form sliding in, this text on the left sliding in, and this right here, we will use JavaScript to obtain this. And actually, let me show you what this does. So if I change this in, wait a second, in my JavaScript, this actually takes in the current date. So it's Monday, March the 16th, 2020, and it's opened because it's, where did I set it? I set the opening hours from 7, exactly, there we have it, from 7 to 24. So if I would change the day to, let's say, today, which is Monday, then it's closed. If I would change it to tomorrow, then it's opened. Now we'll change it back, wait a second. Okay, so change it to today. Now I'm actually going to change it back to Sunday, and today is not Sunday, so it's opened because today is Monday. But I will change the opening hours to, let's say, 21. I have to go under 21, so 18. And now we have closed. So this will take into the consideration the day and the time. And depending on what time and day it is, this will either display closed or open. Okay, let me change everything back. And let's go from responsive, so from a desktop to let's go to a iPad. Okay, you can see everything changes. So this will be responsive. We will achieve this with media queries. Now let's go to the home page again. And now let's go to the services. And we already saw the contact box. So let's go back to the contact. And now let's change it to phone. Let's use an iPhone XS. You see the title here is flipped. This stays the same, but everything is shrunk down. Let's take a look at the services. So also these images are shrunk down, and if we take a look at the home, also these images are shrunk down. Okay, now before we get into the tutorial, as always, please subscribe to my channel if you like to see more content like this. Then also hit that notification bell, because it really helps me out if you watch my videos and like or dislike them. It's up to you. Then I know if I'm doing a great job or not. Okay, now let's get into the tutorial. Now I already created a new folder. I just called it responsive website. And now let's create a boilerplate using Shift 1. That's by using Emmet. Actually, let me make this smaller. And let's also make little Norbert smaller. No, not this one. There you go. Now we have a smaller Norbert. Okay, let's give this a title. Let's call this responsive website. Or you can call it anything you want. Now we are also going to use Google Fonts. So let's go to Google Fonts. You just type into Google Fonts and this page will appear. And now, what kind of font did I use? Use kind of a wiki font. Dancing script. So dancing. There we have it. Now click on this plus, and this will appear. Now, if we embed it into our HTML, then we need this link. So let's just copy this link and paste it up here above our title. And this font family, as you can see, is specified in CSS. So we're going to take this font family, go into our CSS, and take the body tag, and we'll assign the entire body, the font family. Actually, I should just copy this in. So we assign the entire body the font family of dancing script cursive. Okay, that's kind of it for our fonts. We can close this up And now we have our empty web page right here on the right side. Oh, and I'm also using live server. So if you right click within your HTML, open with live server, then the website will appear as long as you have it installed. So click right in here and type in live server. So this one. And if you don't have it installed, just install it. And you can also put it to autosave. So mine's always put to autosave. As soon as let's just say, type in H1 here, blah, 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 and it autosaves and it's displayed right here. Okay, let me delete this. We will also need to link up, let's close this, link up our style file. So CSS file for this, we're just going to type in link. And by using emit, already disappears. And in the href, we're going to type in style.css. This will link up our CSS file that we created with our HTML file. Okay, first of all, I will create a navigation tag. And we'll give this tag an ID of Navbar. And also a class of Navbar. Now we're going to create a UL tag, an unordered list. Within here, let's create a few list items, and within a list item, we create an anchor tag, and we will assign it to hash home within the href. And we're doing this because I want to be able, when I click, and just type in here home. So when I will click on this home button, this will send me to the home page, and the next one and the next one. Okay, so let's copy this 2 more times. We need 2 more items in our navigation, and this will be services, and the last one will be contact. Okay, now we have our links up here. Now I would quickly jump into CSS and style this. I want to get rid in the entire page of this bullets right here, the underlines right here. Actually, let me make this, increase the font size here. So I just zoomed in, I didn't increase the font size or anything like that, I just zoomed in. Also, quick note, this entire web page design is going to be kind of cut up into pieces, because more than a half an hour, 45 minutes is really hard for someone who is new or just getting into web design to really keep his focus. Even if you're in a school, you know, that if you have a 1 hour course, let's say, the last 50 minutes, you're only thinking about the break. So let's be honest here, more than a half an hour, 45 minutes max, this suffice for a video. Okay, in our CSS, we will now use a general reset. And I want to reset with this star. We will reset everything within our web page. I will also reset the before and the afters. So I selected all 3 of them with commas. Now let's reset all the margins to 0. And this means that all the margin in all web pages will be set to 0. So not only in Google Chrome, I am using Google Chrome as a web browser and Visual Studio Code as a text editor. I know that I didn't mention that one at the start of the tutorial, but I hope you always say, and this is the most popular text editor. Let's just be honest here. Okay, now let's reset the padding to 0. You can see everything just disappears. Let me just comment this out because I want to show you something. List style, none. Check this out. Okay, this disappear, and this will disappear in the entire web page. If I will create another unordered list with some list items, they won't appear anymore. And even if you create an ordered list, they won't appear. So the 1, 2, 3s. Okay, now I also want to get rid of this underline, and we will take on the decoration. Text decoration, none. And this gets rid of our underlines. One last thing I'm going to do here is overflow hidden. And this is also really important. Okay, so that's basically it for our resets. Now I'm going to increase the letter spacing for the entire body. to 3 pixels. And I'm also going to position everything relative. Okay, now I think I can zoom back out, reset. It's still too small. Let me stay zoomed in until we get to that part. Okay, now let's create a header element. The header element will be, actually, let me just comment this out. This is the navigation. I like to use comments. So if you want to use comments, you either hold down Control and beneath the Shift button, the backslash. So Control plus backslash gives you the comments in everything, actually in HTML, in CSS, in JavaScript. So let's put in here comment of navigation. Now let's create our header. I'm just going to place in here a h1 and call it my web page. Oh, my website. That's also good. After our header tag, we'll now create our first section. And we'll call this the home section. After this section, we're going to create these 2 sections, so services and contact. So let me just type in services, contact. Okay, so these 3 sections are actually these 3 things that you see here. These are actually 3 sections, these different web pages. Let's just call them web pages. They're actually only one page, but they don't appear at once. And I will show you later on how we do that. Okay, let's create our first section. We're going to create our first section by creating a section tag. And we'll give this an ID. So if you type in section, and this is by using Emmet. So Emmet is automatically installed in Visual Studio Code. Now if we hit star, not star, hashtag, this means that I'm going to create an ID after this. I'm going to give this the ID of home. So we're giving it the same ID as we give it in the navigation. Now let's hit enter. You can see we created a section tag with ID of home. Now let's create a div, and because the div is almost automatically created, if we just type in dot, this is how we create a class. So we are now creating a div with a class of section container. If I hit enter, you can see a div is automatically created with a class of section container. Now within here, I'm going to create another div with a class of text container. Okay, this text container will contain this text right here. So actually also this title. Let me go into this mode. Okay, so we're creating actually this section. And let me stay on this page so we can see what we're doing. So this is our new page. Okay, within our text container, we'll create an h1 with a class, so dot again, in order to create a class of text. And within here, we'll type in home. After our h1, we'll create a paragraph tag with also a class of text. So p dot text. This will create a paragraph tag with a class of text. I'll type in here lorem, I think I used 10. Yep, lorem 10. And after our paragraph tag, we'll create an h6 with also the class of text. And I'll just type in here lorem, oh, that's too much. Lorem 2. It's only 2 items. You know, lorem is a dummy text, and if you type in lorem and some numbers after it, then it will spit out the, sorry about that, the amount of words that you put the number in. So if I would type in here lorem 15, then it will give me from lorem from lorem ipsum 15 words. Okay? But I will just leave it at 2 for now. Okay, after our text container, but still in the section container, we'll now create another container which will contain our images. And I'm creating these two containers, so the text container, and just really quickly create this. So dot, this means we're creating a div. You can see Emmet already specifies this. So we're creating a div with an empty class. And we'll give this a class of image img underscore container. And if we now press dot again, then we'll create another class. So within the class, another class, image home. You can see we created two classes. So the div with the class of image container and the class of image home. Within this div is where our images will live. So we're now going to create another class which image home, img home underscore home, and dot again, home dash 1. And now within this div, I will create a span tag, and within the span tag, I will type in breakfast. Okay, now let's hit save, and let's copy this 2 more times. So the image home, replace this with 2, this with 2, and the second breakfast will served, replace it with served, and then is. So is will be the last one. Close this up so you can see this better. Don't need this navigation part right now. Okay, that's kind of it for our section, for our first section. Now let's go ahead and style this. Actually, we're going to style the navbar first of all. Okay, now let's put in here comment, and we'll type in here navigation. So in order for us to know that this is where the navigation styling starts. Okay, let's grab onto the class of navbar. We'll give it a background color of linear gradient. So background linear gradient, and now we want it to go to the right, and we want it to be transparent and the second should be initial. Let me actually first of all position it and give it some height and width. So just give it a height of 250 pixels and also a width of 250 pixels, a position absolute. Okay, you can see this already changing, so now it's positioned absolute. Now I want to position it not in the middle of the entire page, but in the middle of the X, now of the Y axis. Okay, so left 35% and from the top 50%. And now we need to translate on both axes to -50 and -50%. Okay, this looks a bit pushed off from our page, but don't worry, we're going to take care of this. Now let's also give the box shadow of 0.05 pixels, 2 pixels, and the color black. And we actually are pretty much zoomed in, so let me completely zoom out. There we have it. I also want to align the text to the center that it's in it. Now let's give this a border radius. So in order to obtain this circle form, I'm going to give this a border radius border radius of 50%. This will transform it into a circle. And now I want to display it as grid. And align the items to the center and also justify the content to the center. And if you're not quite familiar with displaying something as grid or using the grid system, don't worry about that. I'll also make a video only about displaying grid. So only about the grid CSS grid system. Okay, so that's pretty much it for our navigation. Let's now take on the allies and the A's. So within our class of navigation or navbar, we had list items, and within them we had anchor tags. Now let's turn the color into white. We won't see anything now because we put all the colors to white color, and we also have a background color of white, or at least transparent. But I'm going to give them a text shadow of 1 pixel, 2 pixel, 2 pixel, and the color black. And then you can see now our little text appearing again, because now it has a text shadow. Now let's increase its font size to 1.7 rem. Let's transform the text to uppercase. The text transform uppercase. Let's increase the line height, so the distance between them, to 1.6. And the font size to 600. Now let's just take a look right here. I want to give them a hover effect. So each time I hover over, get away from here. Each time I hover over a text, the color will change. And for this, let us now target again the nav class. So the navigation with the class of navbar, the allies, but we want when we hover over the anchor tags, then the color should change to green yellow. You can use another color if you want, but I just went with green yellow. And we don't want this to appear, so let me just comment this out. So if I hover over them, they appear with green yellow, but I want them to have a bit of a transition when we do this. So let's type in transition 0.5 seconds and ease. Now let's take a look. If you hover over them, you see the color effect appears really smoothly. Now I want another effect. So let's take the nav class again, navbar class, anchor tags within them, and I want when they are active. So when we click on them, when we do this click, then the color should turn to black. Now I'm just going with simple colors right here because this is not the purpose of you reinventing colors, but just to learn these effects. Now check this out. If I hover, it has this nice transition, and I click on it, you can see it turning black. And if I hold down the click, then it turns completely black. Okay, now let's do something with the navbar. So I want when I hover only over the navbar. Let's take the class of navbar, and when I hover over the navbar, so this entire circle right here, then I want a linear gradient. Oh, actually, I want the background with a linear gradient. This time also going to the right with transparent 50%. So 50% from the right, going to the right, it will be transparent. And then the rest, the other 50%, I will go with an RGBA of 225 is a complete red, then 0 again, and with the opacity of 0.5, and then going outside of this 50% again. So let's check this out. Okay, this should be right here. So maybe hover or... Oh, wait just a second. I know what's happening. The navbar is actually in the background. Let me go up to our navbar and let's give this a z-index of 3. Because we'll have more than one overlay and we want this to be on the complete top. There's a problem. We forgot the comma here. Okay, there we have it. Now, this is also too quick for me. So let's take this transition ease and copy it in here. And let's actually go with only 3 seconds. Now let's create a general section setting. Let's give this a comment, general styling for the section. For all sections. Now we're going to grab on to the section tag. Because this is going to be relevant for all sections. I will give them a height of 100 viewport heights. So each section will be 100 viewport, will have 100 viewport heights. As you can already see, the navigation is now pushed down to the middle, as I said. It's 35% from the left and 50% for the top and bottom. We'll also give the section a width of 100%, position relative, and actually that's all that we need right now. Okay, now let's move on. Let's take the IDs of each section. So home, then the next one, services, and the last one was contact. And let's give them individual colors. So I want the background color of the home page to have a hash 3A0768. Now the next one, the services, gone outside the services, we'll have a color 15243 and B. And the last one, something went wrong here. So 3A0768. There we go. Okay, the last one will be 1060585. This will be this bluish color. Okay, now let's take, actually we can't see them, but I'm really quickly going to create them. So section with the ID of services, and let's create another section under here with the ID of contact. Okay, home, contact, and go back once more. Okay, so now we need to style this section, general settings. We'll give this a overflow on the y-axis of scroll. Then a scroll snap with a type of Y and mandatory. Then a scroll snap again, but this time the alignment should be to the center. This will inhibit this scroll on the right side. Okay, now let's take all of these three IDs, all of us three section IDs. Yeah, I actually typed them correctly. Services, contact. Yeah, this seems quite right. Okay. Now let's take all these three IDs. So the ID of home, comma, services, ID of services, and the ID of contact. And let's display them as none. That takes care of it. Then position absolute. And you'll be thinking right now, what are you doing? You can see everything, but just wait. And to the top, 0. Okay, and now we'll copy this again. When we target each of them, so the ID of home, when it's targeted, target the ID of service when it's targeted, and the ID of contact when it's targeted, to be displayed as block. Now let's take that class of section container that we created. And let's position it relative, and we'll display it as grid. And now we'll give this a grid template column. So actually I want to separate the page in 2 parts, but this will not be equal. The first one will be 35 viewport width, and the other one will be 65 viewport width. So the rest of it. Okay, the last thing I forgot to do here is that I forgot to style our heading, because this is really important. Now, even before the navigation, I'm going to put in here comment header, and we'll see why this is important. So I'm going to take that header tag that I created. I actually managed to create here a multi-line comment. Okay, now let's take the header tag there, and now let's give it a height of 100 viewport heights, a width of 100%, and you can see what is happening, and a position relative. Okay, now we have everything that we need, so check it out. Home, services, contact. These are actually our 3 pages. Okay, so I think we got everything set up, and in the next section in the next video we're going to take care of the home part of the page. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this kind of videos and content, then please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like if you liked that video, hit the dislike if you disliked it. Don't forget to hit the notification bell in order to get notified when I post a video like this, and catch you next time. Bye bye.